The Bulgarian government doesn't acknowledge that Turk Stream passes through Bulgaria. This is what Energy Minister Petkova shared with the Daily yesterday. This interpretation is nothing new. It's not hers, of course, as all the important issues in the energy field rest as a decision-making process with the Prime Minister. What is, in a nutshell, the official Bulgarian narrative on the Turk Stream? The Turk Stream is a project that passes through the Black Sea, Turkey, Bulgaria, Serbia, and Hungary. Interestingly enough, all parties, Moscow, Turkey, Serbia, Hungary, Brussels, United States, refer to this pipeline as the Turk Stream. The only exception is Bulgaria, which has given it a specific name called Balkan Stream. And now the Bulgarian Prime Minister claims that Turk Stream has nothing to do with Balkan Stream. In reverse order, of course. The Balkan Stream has nothing to do with Turk Stream. The Bulgarian government also falsely claims that the Balkan Stream is not a transit project, giving elusive credence to the theory with the expansion of the national gas system. What actually makes a project transit? There are many criteria, often leaving room for different sorts of interpretation. But none of them would qualify as not a transit project for a project that is dedicated 100% of its capacity on entry in Serbia. Basically, it serves only to transit Russian gas from point A, which is Malkaçlar in Turkey, to point B, which is Zaječar entry point in Serbia. Therefore, by shipping gas and transferring gas, it transfers Russian gas monopoly. This contravenes the EU gas directive, and inevitably the final say in letting the pipeline operate would rest in Brussels. The attempts to present the Balkan Stream as detached from the Turk Stream has been the work of the legal teams advising Gazprom, and now they advise Bulgaria. That has happened in the past with the South Stream. So they have given this lever to the Bulgarian government to interpret this section as Balkan Stream in order to achieve a national level of regulation, that is the Commission for Energy and Water Regulation, and not the EU level, which is a must under the EU gas directive. Now, it is impossible for this project not to be regulated by the EU because it has two EU member states involved in it, Bulgaria and Hungary. Therefore, Brussels regulations is absolutely unavoidable. Trying to circumvent those legislative frameworks through naming it Balkan Stream also fits into another problem for those in Bulgarian government that designed the project, is that the project also falls under EU WTO infringement rules because it denies US LNG equal treatment on the market of Bulgaria and, most importantly, on the market of Serbia, because LNG cannot enter US LNG and any other LNG cannot enter Serbia. Therefore, there's one more distinction which makes a project transit or not transit. This is where Russian gas entering Bulgaria goes most of it to serve domestic consumption. Gazprom and Russia has made it explicitly that they would, of course, supply Bulgaria for its own consumption, but none of the gas that enters Bulgaria, but this that would be meant to serve local consumption, would be sold at the gas exchange, and everything would be meant to leave either in the direction of Romania or Serbia or Macedonia and Greece via different options and different pipelines. So this line is meant, the Turk Stream in Bulgaria is meant to serve, it's a dedicated line to serve only Russian gas flows, And even with the exception of the part between compressor station Stranja and Provadia, which is again part of the Trans-Balkan pipeline, which is totally blocked, the new segment is exactly meant to serve the Russian gas needs. The other pipes in this section, particularly the Stranja Provadia, there's only one line, that are already part of the national transmission system. So, in effect, that debunks the myth that the Turk stream in Bulgaria does not exist and the Bulk stream is nothing but a transit project. Finally, the whole setup of this Balkan versus Turk stream classics of lay low and play dumb is a vintage tactic from the rule book of the late Bulgarian dictator Zhivkov. He often uses to appease Russia and to achieve his means. What the government misses this time. Although the NDDA text does not explicitly state a list of all the segments of Turk Stream and Nord Stream in the different national countries, it explicitly states and refers to successive project of those maritime segments that it explicitly refers to. And those successive projects are Turk Stream and is part in Turkey, in Bulgaria, Serbia, and Hungary. Finally, it is not to the Bulgarian government to interpret how EU sanctions will be applied, but to the State Department and the US Treasury. What is the problem, and the real problem is that the Bulgarian government fails to understand that the sanctions provide for immediate halting of works on both projects in the event, in order for the companies, Bulgartransgas and Arcad as the chief contractor, to hope to apply for lenient or exemptions from the sanctions in a process of negotiations with the Treasury Department and the State Department. There is a U.S. bipartisan support in the U.S. Congress, and the White House has also agreed on that. So therefore, what Mr. Borisov interprets as a tacit nod of approval at his meeting with President Trump doesn't make that much for sense, because ultimately it boils down to Bulgaria denying U.S. LNG gas equal treatment and equal access to Serbia. So therefore, it's business arguments. It's not geopolitics. That's what President Trump is very strong at. And this bipartisan support, plus this business dimension, is surely sending a very strong message, which regrettably Sofia fails to understand and to get. So it is, if Bulgaria denies U.S. LNG or other competitors of Gazprom equal treatment and fair level playing field in market, in order to compete for the shares of Gazprom on the Bulgarian turf market, then it is a problem, and a major problem. Furthermore, it is not US against Europe, because as the Kremlin adage goes recently, the EU Parliament has voted with overwhelming majority 2 resolutions that are condemning Nord Stream and, by default, Turk Stream. Therefore, it is in level of interpretation, and the US sanctions are meant to support and to boost the leverage and the negotiating power of everyone that wants to agree on better terms for gas and its supplies. Those who perceive the US sanctions as a threat are all those that want to persist with the dependence on Russian gas, and that depend for their personal welfare on Gazprom only gas. Thank you very much.